What is the ultimate goal of a Hollywood career? For most, it's reaching the very top, becoming an A-list star with power, wealth, and the adoration of millions. It's a dream that countless people chase, but very few ever achieve. So what would possess someone who actually reaches that pinnacle? To simply walk away from it all? It seems unthinkable. Yet history is filled with stories of stars who, at the absolute peak of their fame, made the conscious and often shocking decision to leave Hollywood behind. They didn't fade away or suffer a career-ending scandal. They chose to disappear. Tonight, we explore the stories of those who rejected the throne, who traded the red carpet for a quiet life, and who proved that sometimes the greatest luxury fame can buy is the freedom to leave it all behind. Cameron Diaz. In the late 90s and 2000s, few stars shone brighter than Cameron Diaz. With her infectious laugh and girl-next-door charm, she was America's sweetheart, starring in massive hits like There's Something About Mary, Charlie's Angels, and the Shrek franchise. She was one of the highest-paid actresses in Hollywood. Then, after her role in the 2014 remake of Annie, she vanished. There was no formal announcement. She simply stopped taking roles. The reason, as she later explained, was beautifully simple. She was tired of the grind and wanted to reclaim her life. She said the constant travel and pressure of being a public commodity left her unable to manage her own life. She wanted to focus on her well-being, her friendships, and building a family. She traded scripts and sets for a life of quiet domesticity and entrepreneurship, finding a peace that her A-list career could never offer. Rick Moranis. Rick Moranis was one of the most beloved comedic actors of the 1980s and 90s. His endearing, nerdy charm made him a star in iconic films like Ghostbusters, Spaceballs, and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. He was at the absolute height of his fame. But in 1997, he made the stunning decision to walk away from it all. His departure wasn't about burnout. It was an act of profound love and responsibility. In 1991, his wife, Anne, tragically passed away from cancer, leaving him to raise their two young children alone. For a few years, he tried to balance his demanding film career with being a single father, but he soon realized it was an impossible task. He chose his family. He stepped away from live-action roles to provide his children with a normal, stable upbringing, a sacrifice that cemented his legacy not just as a great comedian, but as a remarkable father. Phoebe Cates. Phoebe Cates was the definitive girl next door of the 1980s. She became an icon with her unforgettable role in Fast Times at Ridgemont High and starred in beloved films like Gremlins. In the mid-90s, after marrying fellow actor Kevin Kline, she made the conscious decision to step back from the spotlight to focus on raising their two children. Her departure was quiet and definitive. Unlike many actors who take breaks, she truly committed to a private life. In 2005, she embarked on a new career, opening a popular boutique called Blue Tree on New York's Madison Avenue. She chose the hands-on, daily life of a mother and a small business owner over the chaos of Hollywood, a decision she has seemingly never regretted. Gene Hackman. For 5 decades, Gene Hackman was a titan of the screen, a 2-time Academy Award winner, and one of the most respected actors of his generation. From The French Connection to Unforgiven, he was a symbol of versatility and gravitas. In 2004, after a career filled with iconic roles, he quietly announced his retirement. His decision wasn't prompted by a lack of offers, but by concerns for his own health. He revealed in an interview that a doctor had advised him that his heart wasn't in good enough shape to be put under the stress of filmmaking. He traded the pressures of acting for the quiet focus of writing, co-authoring several historical fiction novels. He walked away at the top of his game, choosing a peaceful third act over the relentless demands of the industry. Sir Sean Connery. Sir Sean Connery was more than an actor. He was a cultural icon. As the original James Bond, he created a cinematic legend, and his career continued for decades with acclaimed roles, including an Oscar for The Untouchables. In 2006, he confirmed his retirement from acting. His reason was simple and blunt. He was fed up with the modern film industry. He had become increasingly disillusioned with the idiots now making films in Hollywood and the changing landscape of cinema. His last on-screen role was in the troubled production of The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, an experience so negative it reportedly solidified his decision. He chose to enjoy his retirement in peace, rather than continue to work in an industry he no longer respected. Daniel Day-Lewis. Considered by many to be the greatest actor of his generation, Daniel Day-Lewis is legendary for his intense method acting and his unprecedented 3 Academy Awards for Best Actor. After his performance in 2017's Phantom Thread, he made the shocking announcement that he was retiring. His reasons were deeply personal and rooted in the psychological toll his craft took on him. He explained that the process of making the film had filled him with a profound sense of sadness that he couldn't shake. He said that the impulse to quit had taken root in him, and he felt compelled to explore other aspects of his life. For an actor who gave everything to his roles, the ultimate sacrifice was realizing he had nothing left to give, choosing to preserve his own well-being over continuing his celebrated career. Jack Gleason. Jack Gleason achieved global recognition for his masterful and terrifying portrayal of the villainous King Joffrey in HBO's Game of Thrones. His performance was so convincing, he became one of the most hated characters in television history. Then, at the height of the show's popularity, Gleason announced his retirement from acting at the age of 21. His reason was refreshingly intellectual and introspective. He explained that acting was something he had done since childhood, but it was no longer what he wanted to do for a living. He chose to step away to pursue an academic career in philosophy and theology at Trinity College, Dublin, trading the fictional cruelty of Westeros for the intellectual rigor of academia. Dave Chappelle. In the early 2000s, Dave Chappelle was the undisputed king of comedy. His sketch series, Chappelle's Show, was a cultural phenomenon. In 2005, at the peak of the show's success, Comedy Central offered him a staggering $50 million contract, in a move that stunned the entertainment world. Chappelle walked away from it all. In the middle of production, he abruptly left and flew to South Africa. His reasons were complex, rooted in the immense pressure of his newfound fame and his discomfort with the direction the show was taking. He felt that the audience was sometimes laughing for the wrong reasons, and he was terrified of the corrupting influence of fame and money. He chose his own integrity and sanity over one of the biggest deals in comedy history. Jonathan Taylor Thomas. In the 1990s, Jonathan Taylor Thomas was the ultimate teen heartthrob. As Randy Taylor on Home Improvement and the voice of young Simba in The Lion King, he was one of the most famous young actors in the world. In 1998, he made the shocking decision to leave Home Improvement to focus on his education. It was a move that was almost unheard of for a star of his magnitude. He stepped away from the spotlight to attend Harvard and later Columbia University. He explained that he wanted to experience a normal life, to travel, and to grow as a person outside the confines of a Hollywood studio. He sacrificed his massive fame for the invaluable experience of a real-world education. Meg Ryan. For over a decade, Meg Ryan reigned as America's sweetheart, with roles in classics like When Harry Met Sally and Sleepless in Seattle. She was one of the most beloved actresses in the world. In the early 2000s, feeling burned out by the industry and the intense scrutiny of her personal life, she made a conscious choice to step back. She explained that she felt the persona of America's sweetheart was trapping her, and that she had lost touch with herself as an artist and a person. She walked away from the A-list to focus on raising her children and to rediscover her own identity away from the glare of the public eye. Mara Wilson. Mara Wilson was one of the most endearing child stars of the 1990s, capturing hearts in Mrs. Doubtfire and, most iconically, Matilda. But as she entered her teens, she grew disillusioned with the film industry. She found the roles available to her to be uninspiring and felt immense pressure to conform to Hollywood's narrow standards of beauty. After her role in the 2000 film Thomas and the Magic Railroad, she quietly retired from acting. She chose to pursue her education at New York University and became an accomplished writer and playwright, using her voice to critique the very industry that made her famous. She walked away from fame to find her own, more authentic, creative voice. Greta Garbo. Greta Garbo was the ultimate enigmatic movie star, one of the biggest icons of Hollywood's golden age, celebrated for her beauty, her talent, and her intense desire for privacy. Her famous line, "I want to be alone," became her real-life mantra. In 1941, at the age of just 36, she made the film Two-Faced Woman. After it was poorly received, she used it as a reason to do what she had always longed to do: retire. She simply stopped making films and spent the next 50 years of her life in self-imposed seclusion. She shunned interviews, refused autographs, and went to great lengths to avoid being photographed. Her decision to walk away created an enduring mystique that has fascinated the public for decades. Cary Grant. Cary Grant was the personification of the debonair, charismatic leading man. His appeal never waned with age. But in 1966, at the age of 62 and still very much an A-lister, he decided to retire. His reason was deeply personal and heartwarming. His daughter, Jennifer, had just been born, and he wanted to dedicate himself to being a present and active father. He famously said, "My life changed the day Jennifer was born. I've come to think that the reason we're put on this earth is to procreate." He gracefully walked away from his legendary career to embrace the joys of fatherhood. Doris Day. Doris Day was a radiant force of nature, a massive star in both music and film. After her final film in 1968, she completely withdrew from public life. Her retirement was prompted by a series of personal tragedies, including the death of her third husband, who had secretly squandered her fortune. Disheartened by the industry and personal loss, she retreated to her home in Carmel, California, and dedicated the rest of her life to her true passion: animal welfare. She founded animal rights organizations and spent decades advocating for them, finding more fulfillment in that work than she ever did in the spotlight. Geena Davis. In the late 80s and early 90s, Geena Davis was an influential Hollywood star with an Oscar win and iconic roles in Thelma and Louise and A League of Their Own. But after a series of box office disappointments, she faced the industry's rampant ageism. Her break from Hollywood, however, was also driven by a new and extraordinary passion. In the late 90s, she took up archery and, with incredible dedication, became a nationally ranked archer, even reaching the semifinals for a spot on the U.S. Olympic team. She also founded the Geena Davis Institute on Gender in Media. She didn't just walk away, she walked towards new and formidable challenges. Amanda Bynes. Amanda Bynes was a comedic prodigy, a beloved Nickelodeon star poised for a long and successful career. In 2010, at the age of just 24, she announced her retirement on Twitter. Her departure marked the beginning of a long and very public struggle with mental health. She explained that she had grown to dislike acting because she was deeply uncomfortable with her own appearance on screen. Her decision to walk away was not about finding a new passion, but about a desperate need to step away from an environment that was profoundly damaging to her mental well-being. It was a tragic and necessary retreat from a world that had been her home since she was a child. Jack Nicholson. With a record 12 Academy Award nominations and 3 wins, Jack Nicholson is a living legend. For over 50 years, his electrifying presence defined a certain kind of Hollywood stardom. Then, After his role in the 2010 film How Do You Know, he simply stopped appearing in films. There has been no formal retirement announcement, but he has effectively vanished from the screen. Friends have cited memory loss as a potential reason, suggesting he could no longer remember his lines as well as he used to. Others suggest he simply decided it was time to enjoy the fruits of his legendary career. Whatever the reason, one of Hollywood's most dynamic forces chose a quiet exit, leaving behind a body of work that is virtually unparalleled. Fame, it seems, is not a destination, but a journey. And for some, it's a journey they choose not to complete. These stars remind us that behind every iconic performance is a real person with their own desires, fears, and priorities. They teach us that a successful life isn't always measured in box office receipts or awards, but in personal peace, family, and the freedom to choose your own path. They walked away from a dream that millions chase, only to find a different, more personal dream waiting for them, just outside the glow of the Hollywood sign.